Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so let me just start with the disclaimer. This subject may trigger some of you, okay? Because as I was reading certain things, I got triggered. So I had to pause the video, like, wait a minute now. So I'm just letting you know now. If you need to leave, I understand. But for those that want to move on, let's move forward. Okay, so I looked for something in here like the psychology behind women that have women with multiple kids by multiple men. I was looking for something different, but I didn't find anything like the psychology behind it. What I found was articles talking about, a lot of women may have been widowed or they've been divorced more than anything or whatever. But I wanted to get into when women have never been married before, some of the things that they may have experienced. What are the reason for these type of women having different kids by different men? And so, well, different kids by different men. All right, you know what I meant. But anyway, let's get right into it. So the number one thing that I noticed is a lot of women have deep issues, okay? They've been abandoned, they've been abused, and so they're looking for a kind of love that they've never felt before, and especially black women, okay? Let me just make that very clear. I know this happens to all women, but you'll see a bigger amount of this perpetuated in the black community with the women. The thing is, what I found was from Kentucky Counseling Center, and the name of this article is called Daddy Issues, all right? And so I wanted to read number two on this list because I found something very interesting. I guarantee if you guys go to this, you're going to find something that has to do with you personally. But there was, I think, 6, 7 type of abusive fathers, okay? And the abusive father that I came from was number two. This is the abusive and violent father. Well, there's different type of fathers. They may not all be abusive, but they explain, this or whatever. So the abusive and violent father, they mistreat their daughters because these men are impulsive, hot-tempered, unstable emotionally, and their mental state is unstable as well. Children living with this kind of father grow up struggling with mental health issues. So if you watch my other video, I do talk a little bit about that, or whatever, growing up with mental illness in the home. Thankfully, I like to say that I got counseling, I got myself together. But remember, both my parents are mentally ill in different ways, and I have a mentally ill brother. So I know about this. I don't know what saved me. I got to say it was God, and just the simple fact that I was around more so called normal people, but everybody got issues, all right? Okay, so let's move forward. So yeah, that's number one. Okay, a lot of it just has to do with a lot of women being abused or whatever in their childhood, so they're constantly looking for that love from a man. Okay, a lot of times they're not taught how to go in and like work on their own self-esteem, things like that. So they're very vulnerable to different men that would just take that need that women have to be loved and use it against them, all right? So these women, a lot of times they'll hook up with multiple men still looking for something. They're not really protecting themselves. These women are not protecting themselves. So they're leaving their womb and their heart open. And a lot of times that's why they have different, children by different fathers. So I just want to say that that's number one. Number two, and I just got to say this, women just aren't taught the same game that men are. All right. Somebody needs to let women know because I don't think they understand. See, while men are usually pushed up, women are usually oppressed and pushed down. Okay, we're usually taught that the only thing that we're women are good for is having sex, cooking, making babies, stuff like that, or whatever. People don't tell women their true power. Okay, a lot of times they don't understand that a woman holds all kind of value, and if men don't understand their value and worth, there's no way that a man can understand a woman's value and worth. Okay, let me get that out the way. But a lot of times, these women will sit up here or whatever, and men are taught how to use the needs that women have against them, like a woman's vulnerability. A woman is usually not hardened or whatever. Usually a woman is soft and, trying to be kind and everything, but the world over time will harden her, because if she does make a mistake, they're constantly beating her down with that mistake, telling her, oh, you should have chose better. All right, but how can you choose better if you were never taught that, if you never saw that kind of example? So a lot of times we have to teach our young women. Men are taught at a young age how to get sex from women, how to get things from women, younger girls, women, things like that, while women are not taught. So we have to tell our women, show them what exactly does this look like, okay? When guys are trying to run game, what are they saying? How are they approaching? What kind of things are they doing specifically? When I was younger, all I heard was, okay, guys will say anything to get laid. How helpful is that? If you don't know what they're going to say, they're not going to come up to you and be like, hey, you look good. You want to, they're not going to do that. They going, I hope not. Hopefully they're way smoother than that. Okay, I never met a guy that just came up and said some crazy stuff like that, all right? I did have somebody come up to me and offer to do other things, but I'm like, that's how you approach a woman? What's wrong with you, dude? I really had to check him like, I don't know, you from nowhere. All right? I don't even want to rethink about that, because I had to say that's not how you approach a woman. I had to teach him the appropriate way. It still ain't get nowhere or anything like that, but dude, no. So anyway, you also want to ask, okay, what do these guys do when they actually like you? Okay, what's the difference between a man giving you word salad and then a man actually liking you and being interested in you for more than just sex? All right, how do they make you feel? What if you like the things that they're saying? What do you do then? Women aren't taught that. And what a lot of guys are taught is, okay, just say whatever you can to get some or whatever. Be nice. I had a guy say, well, it's easy to get a woman. All you got to do is be nice. So if women aren't taught specifically what the game is, then she's going to be a sitting duck. And then after a while, she gets this game ran on her once, twice, 3 times, and then sometimes a woman will stay with one guy, have multiple kids by this one guy, thinking it's going somewhere, but he was just there for a good time, and he just happened to end up liking something about her, or maybe he was getting his other needs met, but she was never the one. She was just good for whatever he could extract, the value he could extract from her. So she's thinking it's one thing, it's something totally different. So she leaves this guy, whatever, they break up, whatever happens or whatever, and then she goes on to another guy, and then the same thing. If she never understands the game, she's going to go through this multiple times. And a lot of times these women are not protecting their heart, they're not protecting their body. So that's number 2. All right, women aren't taught the same game as men. All right, and then number 3, a lot of times if you already have a child, a lot of times society or your family, your friends will pressure you. Well, hey, do you want little whoever to be, by themselves or whatever? You got a boy, you might as well try for a girl. Or, you want 2 boys, 2 girls, however you want to do that or whatever. A lot of times it'll make you feel like it's not good for that child to be alone. So you'll look at that child and be like, okay, we got 1 kid or whatever together. Or you may just want to start over with somebody else. And then boom, there goes another kid. So sometimes it's society's pressure or whatever, or other people's pressure. Another thing, this kind of ties into it. A lot of times women try to prove that they're not a failure, okay? Because society will make a woman feel like if you don't look a certain way, if you don't act a certain way, if you don't dress a certain way, if you're not a certain body type, if you're not a certain age, by a certain time or whatever, if you're not married by a certain time, then you're not wanted, okay? So a lot of times women will get with somebody in order to kind of proof that they are valuable, okay? Okay, well, I got this guy, whatever, he cares about me or whatever. Even if it's not somebody that they would normally be with, society makes you feel this pressure. So you're messing with this dude or whatever. And again, it goes back to the other thing I was saying, and it doesn't work or whatever. So that's another thing. A lot of times women get with a man just because they don't want to feel like not having one makes them feel like a failure. You understand what I'm saying? I know that's what happened to me in one of my situations or whatever. So that would be number four. Number five, let's just keep it 100% real. Some women never get it. Okay, they have to go through man after man, drama after drama, different baby fathers, having these different kids. And let's just be honest, a lot of times they don't understand that the choices that they're making is making their lives actually harder, okay? If you're leaving your body open to these men, even if you care about them, even if you think this is a good man, I would say this to any woman, all right? And some people are not going to agree with me, but you need to have an idea, a minimum of how many kids that you want, okay? Keep it down to a minimum. And that's just what I'm going to say. Because a lot of times, if you don't understand that in the dating world, in this society that we live in, the more kids you have, okay, the Bible, you might be, more rich and, blessed with a whole bunch of kids. But in society, the world that we live in, it's harder now, okay? You're looked upon as being less than. The more kids that you have, the less valuable you are as far as dating and attracting a good man. I mean, let's be 100% honest. You as a woman, if you don't have any kids, or you have kids or whatever, they're older, whatever the situation may be, your ideal man is not going to be a man that has all these kids by all these different women. Let's be honest, okay? Vice versa. Nobody wants to be stuck with the man with a whole bunch of kids either. Nobody wants the woman with a whole bunch of kids. Nobody wants the man with a whole bunch of kids, because we know everything that comes through, everything that comes with it. We know, if the fathers are in the child's life, a lot of times they may make issues, okay? A lot of kids don't respect the stepmother or stepfather or whatever. And so they all have their own different personalities, these kids. And also it's very expensive, okay? Everything that comes in between trying to raise a child. So the more children you have, the harder it is. Nobody wants to deal with that if they don't have to. So I always tell women, you need to have a plan, and you really need to have it together. Just like the guy in the shorts that I was telling you about, the mature men telling me about multiple kids or whatever, stuff like that. He was like, what he said made so much sense. He's like, the younger men are starting to learn from the older men, so they're not making all these kids out here anymore. That's declining. It's the women that aren't listening. They're the ones that keep on having these kids by different guys. It's like certain guys that keep on perpetuating this or whatever. It's certain women that keep on perpetuating this too. And we got to wake up, all right? Ladies, let's take responsibility. If I said that them men got to be accountable for what they're doing, we have to be accountable for what we're doing or for what we're allowing, okay? We can deflect and talk about, well, what about them? Yeah, we already know, whatever. But it's us in the end, okay? You are the one that's going to have to raise those kids regardless. You're the one that's going to have to give up so much. And that's why I say you have to be on point nowadays, okay? Get you a plan. Get you some counseling if you need to. Fix those broken, hurt areas or whatever, so you don't keep on doing this, repeating this hurting cycle over and over again. Because what happens is your kids will see it, okay? And then their kids' kids will see it. And then you just keep on seeing this cycle over and over again. That's why you see so many single mothers. The cycle repeats itself. And it needs to end, okay? So we're the ones that can end it. And one thing I also want to say is this, ladies. We have to be more responsible, because we're more powerful and valuable than we would ever know, okay? A lot of times we don't know our worth. We don't see our worth, but men do. And one thing that Pastor R.C. Blake said that made a lot of sense. Some men don't know their own value and their own worth, so they will never know the worth or the value of a woman. So, with that being said, I always encourage women to work on yourself. If that means going to counseling, if that means praying, doing, watching affirmation videos, journaling, or whatever, you have got to repair and prepare yourself so you're not easily targeted and you don't have keep having these kids. All right. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is use your birth control. All right. Your birth control is more than just IUD, popping pills, or whatever you choose in that way. Your birth control is using your mind to get yourself into situations that will better benefit you, okay? There's certain men that you already know that they're not doing right. They're not going to do right by you. You know that. You don't have to lay up with them. You don't have to keep making children with them to finally figure this out. Hey, this is not even a good option for me. All right? This person is coming in with nothing. They're not about nothing. They're a whole bunch of word salad. A lot of guys can get what they want just because they know how to talk to a woman. They don't even have to show any proof that they're going to do anything more than just talk. But because so many women are damaged, they just letting these guys skate on past and do them any type of way. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I could come up with. No, that's pretty much it. If you're enjoying the content, once again, make sure that you subscribe. If you like hauls, reviews, want to hear me sing, make sure you go to my other channel, Real Life Home Review. Okay, bye for now.